quite a lot of Wordsworth on the Romantics course, and being only an hour and a half away, it seems silly not to come and visit, and we've been able to see lots of Wordsworth's manuscripts in the original. We've been able to have a tour around Wordsworth's cottage, and for the students I think it just brings it alive a bit. It's one thing reading Wordsworth in a book, but then to come and see his actual notebooks makes it a lot more exciting.
Can you first take out just that sheet, please? Just that one. What you've got in here is Wordsworth's mind.
The lecture was brilliant, actually. Jeff, the curator, was able to give us a fascinating insight into Wordsworth's life and work. We were able to look at several of Wordsworth's original manuscripts. We were able to have a look at his handwriting. We were able to see how he edited his poetry, and that was just absolutely invaluable in understanding him as a poet. A lot of the students have already said that was really useful and just a really interesting insight into, how a poet sits down and actually writes poetry.
Actually, we'll be reflecting on this a lot more next week when we look at the prelude in more detail. That was brilliant. Thank you very much.
Obviously, he only lived here for 8-9 years of his life. I thought he'd lived here for forever, but this seems to be the place that inspired him the most. So I think that's one of the main things I've learned, really.
So you can see this as a return. You left, if you like, when he was about to go to Cambridge, and then he comes back. And he comes back for a purpose, and that purpose is to devote his life to poetry.
I'm just interested in the old writers and Romantic period in relation to the French Revolution as well. So more history, but mostly English.
French Revolution. And Wordsworth was about the only English poet to be there, if you like, known English poet to be there.
I asked him a few questions about Helen Marie Williams, which relates to Wordsworth, which was really helpful because it helps in my dissertation. And it was really interesting to see all the old work. I think he might have wrote it without not seeing her, and then some years later, I think he met her. I read it somewhere.
I think you're right.
You're doing a dissertation on Charlotte.
It's obviously nice to look out of the window and see what Wordsworth would have said however many 100 years before. It's quite lovely, really, and it kind of puts it all into perspective for you, and it kind of helps you to maybe even understand the poetry a bit more. So, and the background as well, because background's obviously a very interesting part of the literature. So, helps you learn about their lives and what influenced them. So, yeah, I think it's been really good.
I think it would have been cold, but yeah, I think it's really good to see what life was like back in the day, to see what it was like. It's really interesting.
I think what English does is it allows you to think about some really big questions, and you get to think about ideas. Literature is all about ideas. So if you do English, you get to think about those ideas in a lot of detail. You get to discuss things. There's no kind of, clear, absolute right or wrong answer a lot of the time. So you're constantly having your ideas challenged. You're thinking about politics, you think about history, you think about language, you think about society. So it's constantly challenging you as a student, but also as a person. And I think that's what attracts a lot of students, because the whole idea of debate and kind of growing and developing yourself in conjunction with the study of the literature. Wordsworth is still relevant to study now because Wordsworth did so much important work for English literature. As a Romantic poet, he's one of the first and most well-known, most well-loved poets. He's important for the Northwest, for the region, for the North in general. His work in terms of poetry paves the way for later Victorian poets, paves the way all the way through really to the 21st century in terms of poetic development. So he's incredibly relevant, and for students to be able to come here today and see him as a real person and visit his grave, see his house where he actually sat down and wrote some of these poems, see the nature, the land that inspired him, is incredibly powerful and incredibly important.
It kind of just makes learning a bit more fun as well, and I think I'm gonna use Wordsworth now in my exam, so this will have helped me with background and everything, so I think it's going to have helped me with my degree, definitely.
Well, it's an exciting course, I think, and it allows students to sort of engage with different fields and different areas of English literature, and romantics is just one part of that. So it's a really exciting course, it's dynamic, it allows students to be quite independent in choosing their research areas as well, so it's a good place to come for English.